On the morning of March 19, 2022, a specialized civilian dive team known as Adventures with Purpose guides a small sonar boat over the murky, 24-foot deep waters of Darby Creek. They navigate just off the banks of the Redley Township Municipal Marina in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. The advanced sonar emits a sharp ping, illuminating a massive unnatural rectangular shape buried deep beneath layers of underwater silt. A volunteer diver plunges into the freezing zero visibility current. The diver relies on touch to navigate the dark abyss, feeling through the sediment to trace the rusted metal chassis of a submerged sport utility vehicle resting upside down on the creek bed, peeling away nearly 2 decades of thick algae and heavy mud from the rear bumper. The diver reads a faded license plate number to the surface team. The numbers form a perfect match for a green 2002 Ford Explorer that vanished without a trace more than 18 years earlier. Inside the silt-filled cabin, still secured to the driver's seat by a heavy nylon seatbelt, the diver makes a solemn discovery that shatters a profound mystery. The underwater team uncovers a chilling detail no one anticipated, finding a massive wooden dock support pylon driven straight through the engine bay of the vehicle, pinning the metal frame to the floor of the creek. In a single day of methodical searching, civilian volunteers conquer a phantom puzzle that professional detectives left unsolved for an entire generation. Before the tragedy unfolds, the physical geography of Ridley Township paints the picture of a classic working-class American suburb. Located in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, the township features rows of modest homes with faded paint on aging porches and quiet streets bathed in the amber glow of sodium streetlights. A vast network of interlocking paved roads intersects with untamed tidal waterways, winding creeks, and dense marshlands that bleed into the mighty Delaware River. The community pulses with a predictable rhythm, driven by residents who clock into grueling blue-collar shifts and return home to prioritize their families. In late 2003, this neighborhood serves as the entire world for 38-year-old James Amabile. James resides in Folsom, a distinct, quiet section nestled within the boundaries of Ridley Township. Neighbors know the Amabile family well, recognizing them as pillars of quiet reliability in a town that values hard work and steadfast loyalty. The landscape dictates the lifestyle here, with daily commuters navigating the treacherous stretches of road that bridge the gap between suburban safety and the surrounding industrial zones. Every morning, the hum of traffic blends with the distant flow of the tidal creeks, masking the inherent dangers of living so close to unforgiving, murky waters. James navigates these very roads daily, possessing an intimate familiarity with the blind curves and the steep embankments that drop into the local marinas. James stands as a devoted father, building his entire existence around the well-being of his 2 young daughters. The girls, aged 5 and 8, represent the absolute center of his universe, dictating his schedule and motivating his relentless work ethic. He holds a diploma from Cardinal O'Hara High School, rooting his identity within the local community traditions. To provide for his children, James works the demanding night shift at a United Parcel Service distribution center located on Oregon Avenue in South Philadelphia. The grueling hours demand immense physical stamina, yet James refuses to allow his exhaustion to interfere with his paternal duties. Relatives and close friends observe a man whose daily routine runs with extreme precision. He maintains a predictable, unwavering loop between his quiet Folsom home, the bustling warehouse in Philadelphia, and the various schools and babysitters entrusted with his daughters. Those closest to him describe James as a responsible caretaker who grounds his family in love and stability. The concept of him abandoning his children or walking away from his established life contradicts every known fact about his character. He demonstrates a profound commitment to his household, ensuring his daughters always find him waiting for them at the end of the day. Beneath the surface of this stable blue-collar life, James fights a silent and relentless battle against a severe medical condition. He suffers from advanced diabetes, an illness requiring constant vigilance and rigorous biological management. To survive, James wears an implanted insulin pump, a mechanical lifeline tethered to his body that regulates his fluctuating blood sugar levels. His family understands the precarious nature of this disease, knowing that a sudden drop in blood glucose can transform James from a lucid, capable father into a disoriented state of profound confusion. This medical reality forces him to monitor his diet and stress levels with strict precision. A missed meal or a delayed adjustment to his pump carries the threat of sudden incapacitation, stripping away his motor skills and cognitive awareness. Despite the heavy burden of his illness, James never uses it as an excuse to neglect his responsibilities. He pushes through the physical fatigue, masking the invisible toll the disease takes on his body to maintain a sense of normalcy for his daughters. The ever-present shadow of his diabetes dictates strict timelines for his daily movements, making his absolute punctuality a matter of life and death. His loved ones find comfort in his rigid adherence to his medical regimen, oblivious to the fact that this unseen biological timer will soon trigger a decades-long nightmare. The fragile balance of the Amamable household shatters on the freezing afternoon of December 4, 2003. The day begins like countless others, with James managing his rest after completing a strenuous night shift at the shipping warehouse. His sole priority for the afternoon involves a short routine drive to pick up his 2 young daughters from their babysitter. As the clock ticks past his usual departure time, James realizes he is running behind his strict daily schedule. He picks up his home telephone and dials the babysitter to provide a brief status update, a testament to his characteristic reliability. During this short conversation, he states that he will be about 5 minutes late to collect the girls. He hangs up the receiver, grabs his keys, and steps out into the biting December air. James climbs into the driver's seat of his green 2002 Ford Explorer, igniting the engine as the afternoon sun begins its descent. He pulls out of his driveway in Folsom, merging onto the familiar suburban roads of Ridley Township. From the moment his tires leave the pavement of his property, James Amable vanishes into the winter shadows. No witness comes forward to report a crash, no traffic cameras capture his route, and no living person ever sees him alive again. The 5-minute delay stretches into an agonizing hour of absolute silence, triggering a profound sense of dread at the babysitter residence. When James fails to arrive to collect his daughters, sheer panic rips through the extended Amable family. His absence defies all logic, standing in stark contrast to his lifelong pattern of steadfast devotion to his children. The family understands the terrifying reality of his implanted insulin pump, recognizing that his uncharacteristic silence points toward a catastrophic medical event rather than a voluntary disappearance. Relatives begin flooding his cell phone with calls, but each attempt routes straight to a sterile voicemail recording. The terror mounts as the sun sets, plunging the intricate network of local waterways and unlit suburban roads into pitch darkness. Fearing that James has suffered a sudden incapacitating drop in blood sugar while operating a heavy motor vehicle, the family takes immediate action. They contact the Ridley Township Police Department, pleading for urgent intervention to locate the missing father before the freezing temperatures claim his life. Law enforcement officers log the report, initiating a search protocol tailored to a missing persons case complicated by a known life-threatening medical emergency. The family huddles together in their Folsom home, clinging to the desperate hope that a patrol car will find the green Ford Explorer idling on a quiet shoulder. Instead, they stand on the precipice of an agonizing 18-year purgatory, waiting for a rescue that will remain absent for an entire generation. Before the initial search begins, the physical geography of Ridley Township presents a daunting logistical challenge for law enforcement. The planned route from James Amabel's home in Folsom to the babysitter residence consists of heavily trafficked arterial roads, blind intersections, and vast stretches of unlit suburban pavement. Local detectives and frantic family members immediately launch a massive coordinated sweep across Delaware County as the evening of December 4th plunges the region into darkness. Patrol vehicles with glaring spotlights scour the shoulders of the local highways, searching for any sign of a green 2002 Ford Explorer parked on the side of the road. Officers canvass the asphalt for recent skid marks, shattered glass or damaged guardrails that might indicate a vehicle veered off the thoroughfare. Simultaneous efforts send frantic relatives rushing through the sliding doors of every local hospital and urgent care center in the metropolitan area. The family presents photographs of James, begging emergency room staff to check their intake logs for a patient matching his physical description. Investigators treat the situation with the highest priority, classifying the incident as a missing persons case severely complicated by a life-threatening medical emergency. The ticking clock of his insulin dependency hangs over every police dispatch radio transmission, demanding immediate physical contact before a hypoglycemic coma claims his life. Detectives trace his known driving route turn by turn, shining flashlights into the dense brush lining the county roads. Despite deploying dozens of searchers across the immediate grid, the initial overnight sweep yields absolutely zero physical evidence of the man or his heavy sport utility vehicle. The vast suburban landscape swallows the machine whole, leaving law enforcement grasping at shadows in the freezing December wind, with ground units hitting a solid wall of empty roads. The Ridley Township Police Department escalates the search protocol by taking the operation to the skies. The surrounding topography transitions from paved residential grids into untamed nature, characterized by the sprawling wetlands of the John Hines National Wildlife Refuge. Police helicopters launch from local airfields, their heavy rotor blades chopping through the frigid winter air as they ascend over the marshlands. Tactical flight officers lean out of the open side doors, directing high-powered searchlights across the freezing, brackish waters and dense thickets of dormant vegetation. The refuge covers hundreds of acres of tidal marsh, creating a visual nightmare for spotters searching for a dark green vehicle, hidden among the muddy brown reeds and deep green evergreens. The pilots fly low grid patterns over the remote sectors of Delaware County, hoping to catch the reflection of a license plate or the glint of a curved windshield. Ground teams coordinate with the aerial units, trudging through the freezing mud of the refuge boundaries to investigate large mounds or unnatural shapes spotted from above. The biting wind chill freezes the earth, making the physical search a grueling endurance test for both officers and civilian volunteers. The searchers push deep into the dense undergrowth, visually inspecting every ravine and steep embankment that borders the winding local waterways. Law enforcement relies on the assumption that a medical episode behind the wheel would have caused James to lose control and veer into these desolate patches of wilderness. Hours stretch into days as the aviation units burn through tank after tank of aviation fuel, scanning the isolated pockets of the county. The massive aerial operation concludes with empty results, failing to spot a single piece of twisted metal or disturbed earth within the massive nature reserve. Following the failure of the physical ground and air searches, investigators pivot their strategy toward the digital footprint of the missing father. Detectives secure subpoenas to monitor his personal bank accounts, credit card profiles, and cellular phone transmission logs. The financial institutions report a chilling silence, showing that not a single cent has been withdrawn or spent since the afternoon of December 4th. The cellular data provides a singular, frustrating clue that ultimately operates as a factual dead end for the primary investigation. The digital records show that the mobile phone belonging to James sent its final electronic handshake to a cellular tower located near a local police station. This electronic ping sends a surge of false hope through the command center, prompting officers to tear apart the immediate physical radius surrounding the transmission tower. Investigators knock on residential doors, search adjacent commercial parking lots, and inspect nearby drainage ditches in the vicinity of the signal. The digital location data lacks modern precision, providing a massive generalized radius rather than a pinpoint geographical coordinate. The rigorous physical search of the ping location turns up absolutely nothing, proving that the signal bounce offered no concrete physical location of the vehicle. The sudden termination of the cellular signal suggests that the device suffered catastrophic damage or lost power entirely, cutting off the only digital tether connecting James to the outside world. The complete absence of financial activity and electronic communication solidifies the horrifying realization that James did not stage his own disappearance. Detectives stare at the static data reports, recognizing that the electronic trail ends precisely on the exact afternoon he vanished. The physical layout of Ridley Township sits adjacent to a complex network of deep tidal waterways that flow directly toward the massive Delaware River. The main roads snake past industrial marinas, local boat launches, and the steep concrete banks of Darby Creek. Early in the investigation, law enforcement considers the grim possibility that the disoriented driver veered off the road and plunged into the freezing depths of these local waters. Dive teams and marine units conduct preliminary visual sweeps of the creek's surfaces and the shallow entry points near the local docks. The search protocols of 2003 rely heavily on physical clues, such as broken wooden pilings, fresh tire tracks in the mud, or oil slicks rising to the surface of the water. Investigators find no disturbed earth, no shattered wooden guardrails, and no floating debris to indicate a catastrophic water entry along the miles of shoreline. The standard police sonar equipment of the era lacks the high-definition imaging capabilities required to penetrate the thick layer of underwater silt and debris that coats the floor of Darby Creek. Officers face a blind search in zero-visibility water, fighting against dangerous tidal currents that carry heavy industrial trash and sunken logs. Without a defined point of entry to justify the extreme risk of deploying human divers into the freezing, turbulent creek, the marine search loses its momentum. Authorities cannot randomly drag miles of the murky waterway without specific physical evidence pointing to a submerged vehicle. The green Ford Explorer remains perfectly hidden beneath the opaque surface, cloaked by the dark water just yards away from the roads the police patrol every single day. The sudden halt in the active investigation plunges the Amalable family into an agonizing state of ambiguous loss. The psychological torture of unresolved grief invades their fulsome home, transforming their daily existence into a waking nightmare of unanswered questions. Relatives print thousands of missing person flyers, taping the desperate pleas to telephone poles, community center bulletin boards, and local convenience store windows. The family keeps their home landline completely open, jumping at every ring in the desperate hope that a hospital or a good Samaritan has finally found James. The unyielding silence forces his two young daughters to grow up under the heavy shadow of a father who simply vanished into thin air on a routine afternoon. Occasional tips trickle into the Ridley Township Police Department, featuring well-meaning citizens claiming to have spotted a green Ford Explorer in neighboring towns. Detectives dutifully track down every single sighting, verifying vehicle identification numbers and interviewing drivers, only to find that every lead results in a frustrating mistaken identity. The bureaucratic machinery of the missing persons system offers no comfort, trapping the family in a legal limbo where James is neither confirmed dead nor officially alive. Without a physical body or a localized incident scene, the legal system restricts the family from easily managing his estate. freezing assets and compounding their profound emotional trauma with rigid administrative hurdles. Law enforcement officers refuse to close the file, yet the severe lack of fresh physical evidence prevents them from launching new, large-scale search operations. The calendar pages turn marking birthdays, holidays, and graduations that pass without the loving presence of the devoted father. The case slowly transitions from an urgent rescue mission into a dusty cold case locked inside the filing cabinets of the Ridley Township Police Department. The relentless march of time swallows the next 18 years, leaving the cold case dormant while the physical landscape of Delaware County continues to evolve. The quiet waterways of Darby Creek remain undisturbed, hiding their dark secret beneath layers of shifting mud and heavy industrial sediment. During this massive span of time, marine navigation and underwater search technology undergo a radical, unprecedented transformation. The rudimentary low-frequency sonar arrays utilized by law enforcement in the early 2000s become obsolete, replaced by high-definition, side-scan sonar capable of painting detailed acoustic pictures of the darkest creek beds. By the early months of the year 2022, this advanced military-grade technology reaches the hands of specialized civilian dive teams. A unique volunteer organization known as Adventures with Purpose begins making national headlines by utilizing these modern sonar units to locate missing vehicles submerged deep in the waterways of the nation. The group documents their methodical search patterns and solemn underwater discoveries, uploading their unvarnished operations to an expansive YouTube channel. A determined relative of the Amable family watches these digital broadcasts, witnessing the civilian divers accomplish what traditional law enforcement failed to do for decades. The relative observes the meticulous, data-driven approach of the civilian team, recognizing a desperate final avenue to bring James home, refusing to let the memory of the missing father fade into permanent obscurity. The relative reaches out directly to the leadership of Adventures with Purpose. The family outlines the specific details of the December 2003 disappearance, detailing the proximity of the local marinas to the last known route of the Green Ford Explorer. This single digital communication bridges the gap between an 18-year-old local mystery and a modern team of specialized aquatic investigators. The leadership team at Adventures with Purpose reviews the submitted case file, analyzing the geographical data and the historical search efforts conducted by the Ridley Township Police. The civilian experts recognize a classic pattern of a vehicle disappearing near deep, murky water without leaving behind surface-level physical evidence. The dive team begins mapping the exact roadways of Delaware County, studying the topographical layout of Darby Creek, the Delaware River, and the surrounding industrial boat launches. They mark the route from the Folsom residence to the Bobby Sitter home, identifying every single point where a disoriented driver could bypass a curb and slide silently into the depths. The volunteers pack their heavy diving gear, specialized dry suits, and advanced sonar equipment into their transport vehicles. The team understands the severe psychological weight carried by the Amable family, acknowledging the critical importance of ending their 18-year nightmare of ambiguous loss. The civilian investigators coordinate their arrival in Pennsylvania, preparing to interface directly with the grieving relatives before launching their high-tech boat into the local waters. The strategy relies on eliminating the shallowest bodies of water first, systematically clearing the local ponds and minor creeks before tackling the treacherous deep water currents of the municipal marinas. The preparation involves a meticulous step-by-step review of the known facts, ensuring that no historical detail is overlooked during the deployment of their sonar array. The collision course is set between a generations-old suburban mystery and the modern technological prowess of a dedicated volunteer unit. The dark, freezing waters of Ridley Township wait silently, holding onto the rusted metal tomb that has evaded detection for nearly 2 decades. On the morning of March 19, 2022, The civilian dive team arrives in Delaware County. The team first meets with the Amailable family to establish the exact parameters of the daily commute. The physical geography dictates a specific route from the Folsom residence to the babysitter home. The planned path crosses several distinct bodies of water. The volunteers conduct a precise sweep of the asphalt, searching for any break in the modern guardrails. The protocol demands a rigorous process of elimination. The team launches their small boat into two separate local waterways along the route. The sonar equipment scans the shallow creek beds. Both locations prove too shallow to conceal a large sport utility vehicle. The search grid narrows to a final imposing location. The team transports their equipment to the Ridley Township Municipal Marina. The marina sits on the edge of Darby Creek, positioned behind Stinger's waterfront restaurant. The dark water flows with a treacherous, unpredictable current. The depths drop to a massive 24 feet. The volunteers deploy their advanced sonar array into the murky creek. The high-definition sound waves slice through the freezing water. The equipment bounces signals off the thick layer of underwater silt. A massive, unnatural geometric shape illuminates the digital monitor. The screen displays the distinct outline of a submerged vehicle resting on the bottom. The target lies hidden beneath the surface, invisible to the patrons dining at the restaurant mere yards away. A volunteer diver secures a heavy oxygen tank and plunges into the freezing current. The water offers zero visibility. The diver relies on physical touch to navigate the dark abyss. The thick mud pulls at the diving suit. The diver reaches the heavy silt of the creek bed. Gloved hands trace the rusted metal chassis. The tactile feedback confirms the shape of a large sport utility vehicle resting upside down. The machine sits swallowed by decades of accumulated debris. The diver moves toward the front of the rusted frame. Hands encounter an impossible, chilling obstacle. A massive wooden dock support pylon pierces straight through the engine bay of the vehicle. The heavy timber pins the metal frame to the floor of the creek. This detail exposes a horrifying systemic failure in the marina expansion process. Construction crews drove massive pilings deep into the creek bed years after the disappearance. The heavy machinery hammered the timber straight through the submerged vehicle. No municipal inspector or construction worker noticed the metal tomb waiting in the mud. The rigid protocols of marine construction failed to mandate a sonar sweep of the river floor before driving the support beams. The diver abandons the trapped engine block and swims toward the rear bumper. Gloved fingers scrape away a thick layer of green algae and hardened sediment. A rectangular license plate emerges from the darkness. The diver reads the faded numbers through the communication tether to the surface team. The digits form a perfect match for the December 2003 Police Missing Person Bulletin. The identification confirms the presence of the missing green 2002 Ford Explorer. The diver forces a path toward the crushed cabin of the vehicle. The metal doors remain jammed shut by the immense water pressure and shifted mud. The diver reaches through a shattered window opening, feeling into the dark interior. The interior space holds an immense amount of suffocating silt. Hands brush against a heavy nylon seatbelt. The diver makes a solemn, heartbreaking discovery inside the driver's seat. The missing father remains secured in the exact position he took 18 years earlier. The tragic reality sets in for the dive team. James sat trapped under 24 feet of freezing water while life continued uninterrupted on the docks above. The civilian volunteers complete their underwater documentation. The diver ascends to the surface, breaking the water to deliver the final report. The team contacts the Ridley Township Police Department. The 18-year search reaches a sudden, permanent end. Law enforcement units rush to the Ridley Township Municipal Marina to secure the immediate perimeter. The Ridley Township Police Department coordinates with local marina staff to halt all civilian boat traffic. The Delaware County Medical Examiner Office deploys investigators to the dock to prepare for the recovery effort. Volunteers from the Leadham Fire Company arrive to provide logistical support on the shoreline. The extraction process presents a massive mechanical challenge due to the wooden pylon pinning the vehicle. The suction of the deep mud holds the rusted metal with an iron grip. 9 agonizing days pass as authorities secure the necessary heavy equipment. On March 28, 2022, a specialized recovery crew takes over the scene. The crew utilizes a donated crane valued at $3,500,000. Heavy steel cables plunge into the water wrapping around the submerged chassis. The massive industrial engine roars to life, fighting the immense drag of the creek bed. The crane tears the vehicle from the mud and the piercing dock's support. The rusted green metal breaks the surface of Darby Creek for the first time in an entire generation. The recovery team transports the crushed vehicle to a secure forensic facility for a meticulous examination. On March 29, 2022, the Delaware County Medical Examiner Office begins the formal identification process. The extreme passage of time and the harsh aquatic environment erase traditional methods of visual recognition. Forensic specialists rely on historical dental records to match the physical evidence. The complex scientific comparison yields an undeniable absolute match. The medical examiner issues a positive identification confirming the recovery of James Amable. The official forensic report declines to list a definitive cause of death due to the extensive time submerged in the tidal water. The physical evidence matches the leading medical theory held by the family. Brother Stephen Amale addresses the gathered press corps, outlining the tragic sequence of events. A sudden, catastrophic drop in blood sugar triggered a state of severe physical and mental disorientation. James lost cognitive control of the heavy machine, took a wrong turn into the marina, and plunged over the concrete edge. The impact sealed his fate inside the sinking cabin. Law enforcement rules out any suspicion of foul play. The definitive confirmation lifts the agonizing burden of ambiguous loss from the shoulders of the Amalable family. The 2 daughters, now grown adults, experience the bittersweet closure stolen from them during their childhood. The family reclaims the reins and arranges a proper, dignified burial in their home community. The legal resolution of the cold case shatters the bureaucratic limbo that restricted the estate for 2 decades. Ridley Township Police Captain James Daugherty speaks to the media regarding the historic breakthrough. He emphasizes that the case file remained active inside the local precinct. Detectives spent 2 full decades chasing false leads, interviewing witnesses, and testing endless geographical theories. The ultimate discovery exposes the severe limitations of early 2000-era law enforcement technology. The local police possessed the willpower but lacked the high-definition aquatic sonar required to penetrate the depths of Darby Creek. A rigid protocol demanding surface evidence prevented dive teams from launching random searches in the massive waterways. The collaboration between specialized civilian volunteers and official government agencies rewrites the modern protocol for underwater investigations. The successful recovery forces departments nationwide to reevaluate their reliance on outdated marine search parameters. Justice takes the form of absolute truth. The undeniable reality emerges from the freezing currents, bringing lasting peace to a blue-collar town that refused to forget a devoted father.